Inventory management is an essential aspect of any logistics operations. In this session, we'll explore why inventory management matters and how it directly influences operational efficiency and cost effectiveness. To begin, let's emphasize a critical point. Inventory is a fact. Regardless of how lean your system aims to be, some inventory will always exist. The key lies in managing it thoughtfully and strategically to minimize waste while meeting demand. That's why we need to talk about inventory management. We will briefly talk about the function and types of inventory. Here, we'll examine why inventory exists in the first place. Whether it's raw materials, work in progress, or finished goods, each type serves a distinct role in the supply chain. Understanding these roles helps us determine how much of each type is necessary. Next, we'll cover inventory classification. This includes techniques like ABC analysis, where we classify items based on their importance or value. Such classifications allow us to prioritize and focus on what truly matters in managing inventory. Finally, we'll address the critical question: how to select what to keep on stock. Here, we'll combine different classification concepts to make informed stocking decisions. This framework will provide you with a strong foundation for understanding inventory management and its impact on your organization. Now, let's explore the types of inventory in more detail. Each type serves a unique purpose in ensuring smooth operations and buffering uncertainties in the supply chain. First, we have raw material inventory. This includes goods or materials waiting to be processed. Think of it as the initial input to your production process. Raw material inventory acts as a buffer against irregularities in supplier deliveries. For example, delays in shipments or fluctuations in supplier reliability can disrupt production without this type of inventory. The greater the distance from your suppliers, the more likely you need larger quantities of raw material inventory, which tells you that location matters. This is but one reason why proximity to suppliers can be a great advantage, and it is one of the reasons why automotive plants often operate in supplier parks. Next is work-in-progress inventory, often abbreviated as WIP. This is the kind of inventory we talked about in the context of Little's Law. It refers to items in various stages of completion as they move through the production process. WIP inventory is essential for buffering irregularities between workstations, such as machine breakdowns or differences in processing times between production steps. Which also means that high WIP is often indicative of high variability in the production process, something Lean, Six Sigma, theory of constraints, and other philosophies, methodologies, and toolkits address. We also have maintenance, repair, and operating supplies, commonly referred to as MRO inventory. This category includes spare parts, lubricants, and tools needed to keep the system running smoothly. Having MRO supplies readily available buffers lead times from suppliers and ensures your operations can continue without significant downtime. Don't underestimate this type of inventory. Not only can it be extremely costly, as cost for certain spare parts can be high, but it's even more costly if you need important spare parts but don't have them. There are countless anecdotes of people who fly around the world to personally pick up an important spare part for their factory at home to expedite the process and get their factory up and running again. Finally, we have finished goods inventory. This refers to completed products ready for sale or distribution. The primary purpose here is to buffer against unpredictable, or sometimes predictable, customer demand. Maintaining an appropriate level of finished goods ensures you can fulfill orders promptly, even during demand spikes. This is especially important when we have fixed production capacity that cannot easily and swiftly be expanded, or if an expansion of capacity comes with high cost but low utilization at most times of the year. Together, these inventory types create a system that balances efficiency with resilience, ensuring that your operations run smoothly despite the uncertainties inherent in supply networks. In this section, we will discuss the delivery modes commonly observed in the supply of production plants. It's worth noting that, in practice, several of these modes may be used simultaneously to meet diverse operational needs. Each mode has distinct characteristics that address specific supply chain and production requirements. Let us discuss the 4 key delivery modes in more detail. The first is the traditional delivery-to-warehouse model, where suppliers deliver goods, such as raw materials, directly to the customer's warehouse. In this case, the customer takes ownership of the inventory upon delivery and is responsible for managing it. This approach is straightforward and works well for businesses with established warehousing infrastructure. However, a drawback is that the customer incurs higher inventory holding costs, especially if the material is not immediately used. This is the most common model across all industries, and it makes sense in many cases, but also it is an expensive and sometimes inefficient mode. The second mode is just-in-time, JIT, delivery. In this setup, suppliers deliver goods to the customer's site exactly when they are needed and in the quantities required. This reduces the inventory carried by the customer and minimizes waste in the supply chain. However, JIT requires precise coordination and reliable transportation. Any disruption, such as a late delivery, can halt production and result in significant costs. You don't do JIT for all parts and all suppliers. Instead, you carefully select suppliers and parts that qualify for JIT delivery. JIT was pioneered by Toyota as a means to reduce their inbound inventory and all the unwanted side effects they wanted to avoid. The third mode, just-in-sequence, JIS, builds on the principles of JIT, but adds an additional layer of complexity. Goods are delivered not only when needed, but also in the precise order required for production. For example, in the automotive industry, parts like car doors may arrive in the sequence they will be installed on the assembly line. This approach improves efficiency, but requires meticulous planning and seamless communication between the supplier and the customer's production team. JIS is done for a low number of parts only. As you can imagine, this is not a delivery mode you would choose if your supplier's production plant is located overseas. It is more common to have suppliers JIS delivery in close proximity, often in the same supplier park. The fourth mode, delivery to consignment warehouses, introduces a different dynamic by shifting the ownership of inventory. In this model, suppliers deliver goods to a storage facility located at or near the customer's site, just as with normal delivery to warehouses. However, the inventory remains the property of the supplier until it is used by the customer. This delivery mode combines flexibility for the customer with ongoing supplier involvement. Since many students haven't heard of consignment warehouses before, it makes sense to discuss this concept in greater detail. Consignment warehouses offer several advantages, for the customer, that is. For the supplier, it is not exactly great. Customers do not need to pay for inventory upfront, which reduces their financial risk and improves cash flow, which implies it increases the financial risk of the supplier. Additionally, critical items are readily available, minimizing the risk of production downtime caused by stock shortages. This model fosters closer collaboration between suppliers and customers as it requires mutual trust and enables suppliers to gain valuable insights into demand trends. These insights help suppliers plan production and replenishment more effectively. Furthermore, with inventory already close to the point of use, consignment warehouses enable customers to operate with minimal stockholding cost while avoiding disruptions, enhancing just-in-time capabilities. However, this model is not without challenges. The supplier bears the financial risk of holding inventory, which can result in losses if demand decreases or the product becomes obsolete. While customers benefit from immediate access to inventory, they must still allocate storage space, which can be problematic for facilities with limited capacity. Managing consignment inventory also requires robust tracking systems to ensure transparency. Any discrepancies between what is delivered, consumed, or invoiced can lead to financial disputes. Consignment warehouses are particularly valuable in industries where inventory availability is critical, but demand can be unpredictable. In the aerospace and industrial equipment sectors, high-value, slow-moving parts are often stored in consignment warehouses to ensure availability without significant capital outlay by the customer. In manufacturing, consignment arrangements are not uncommon for maintenance, repair, and operations (MRO) supplies, ensuring critical parts are on hand to maintain operational continuity without incurring excessive inventory costs. For example, consider a manufacturing plant that relies on specialized machine parts. These parts are delivered to a consignment warehouse located near the plant. The plant uses the parts as needed and only pays for what it consumes. This arrangement reduces the financial burden on the plant, ensures no downtime due to unavailable parts, and allows the supplier to maintain control of their stock. Since consignment warehouses are great for customers, but not necessarily for suppliers, it is important to understand that the power balance between buyer and supplier plays an important role. If the buyer is more powerful than the supplier, consignment warehouses are an option. If the supplier is more powerful, he would probably reject the idea. Each of these delivery modes has its place in supply networks. Often, companies employ a mix of these strategies to meet the diverse needs of their operations.